everything. That's
I love that program.
I watch
I talk
everything
about
on
people that
Bravo
don't
and
know how to have
TLC.
relationships.
Have you
Bravo,
watched
TLC,
Stitzel?
and then
Who?
Have you
PBS.
watched Stitzel?
I'm watching just I can't.
Oh,
say
I watched them all.
Stitzel.
Yeah.
Stitzel.
That's
It is
excellent.
so
Watched them
We're
all.
watching Fauda.
I
Fauda
don't know
was
that one,
terrific.
Rita.
We
What's the name
finished
of
the
that one?
third season. Fauda is it's
Stitzel.
so tense.
It's
Oh,
on,
I haven't.
it's on Netflix.
It's on
but
Netflix?
Subtitles. It's all in Hebrew.
I
love
watched the whole
subtitles.
Get
thing.
used to it. And it's,
I love subtitles.
yeah, it's very good.
I watch MHZ. MHZ is all subtitled
Yeah.
comedies and dramas all the time.
Well, I recommend it.
Belgravia is also Belgravia is
Yes, we're watching that, but I only have one more to watch. There's only one more.
yeah,
Yeah.
We're also watching World on Fire on PBS.
fabulous.
That's really good.
Fabulous.
I'm a little behind with that, but I started that.
It's
Oh my
excellent.
gosh.
The way it's done, it really, you feel like you're in Poland.
Yeah. And
I don't want to feel like I'm in
It's
Poland.
excellent.
It's bad enough to feel like I'm here.
I want to feel like I'm in Poland.
Oh my gosh, too funny. Hey, Faye.
Oh, God.
I remember how nervous I was when my daughter was there with USY pilgrimage. I couldn't wait till she left Poland and got to Israel.
My daughter just had the 30th reunion on virtually of her group that went to Poland and then they went to Israel for USY.
Wow.
Oh,
You know
nice.
what we don't hear?
30th anniversary.
Wow,
We
She
don't
probably
hear-
went with some of my friends.
that's amazing. Faye.
Pardon?
She probably went with some of my friends then. She's about 40, she's 48 or she's younger than that.
No, she's 46.
Oh, still could be.
Close.
Okay.
Close.
You know, what we don't hear about
Hi,
a lot
Ellen.
is the resistance movement. And
Hello.
that's something that we're learning about too, what the resistance movement did during the war.
Yeah.
Hi, Susie.
Before we start,
Yeah, we
we
only
have
have
a
another 2
recently-
minutes.
Deceased friend
hi.
who was in the Haganah.
Yeah. Rabbi, did you see Toby's?
Fascinating
Yes.
story.
Mary, you okay?
Am I unmuted? Yes.
Before we start too, I wanted to say I invited one of my cousins. When my mom came to the United States, she stayed with this cousin's parents. It was my mom's very favorite cousin growing up. And she's in New York. I invited her to join us. And there she is. I see her.
And what is her
Susie
name?
T.
Oh, Susie T. Perfect. Welcome, Susie T.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How many years, Toby, since Fran?
Well,
Oh my God. I loved her. Loved her. I'm gonna cry.
Judy Kenter, I sent you a message on, I chat on here.
Yeah, okay, I didn't look. I got a phone call in the middle, so I had to look after the phone.
Can I just say how my mother and I are color coordinated? We didn't even plan it this way.
oh, that's so
Oh,
nice.
how nice.
Teal? I said we should just have a color of the day if we once a week, maybe, not every day.
And I can't wear the same
My
thing
daughter
every
is
day.
doing that with my 10-month-old granddaughter. What's the color of the day? So we could find out what the color. of the
Every
day for
Monday,
her,
pick
and
a
we
color.
could match it.
We do purple next week. I personally like purple. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't even know if I own the purple clothes.
The first day of remote learning, I asked my son if he had to wear his uniform. He said, no way.
Oh, 8 years, Toby, right? I didn't feel like 12. Yeah.
thing, it's not handwritten, and I don't
Okay.
I'll take a picture of the back.
All right. So we are right about the time, everybody. We're going to mute you all. So welcome again to everybody. And Susie T, welcome. Any friend of Debbie's is a friend of ours. And please include your friends and include them in our community. It's nice to see some of you bopping in and then staying with us. So it's nice to see Hannah Lee again and Marion again and the gals that are have been joining us, no pun intended, religiously. So welcome to everyone. I'm Margie Miller. I'm the president of Women's League. And that's all I say every day except welcome. And Rabbi Ellen Willens Fields is our executive director, and she does our program every day. So I'm going to mute. So I'm just giving Susie a heads up, and I'm muted.
Thank you. Good to see everyone here today. And I've made a few people co-hosts. So Margie and Razel. Poor Razel, her picture comes up as me. Sorry about that, Razel. We'll have to figure out how to do that. Sorry, just got a Mishabera request from somebody. Want to write it down. So I could tell you all, it's so touch and go. But today, it happens to be that we're streaming on Facebook. I'm sure later today at 2 o'clock when we have our Mishnah, when I really want to stream it, it probably won't work. But right now it's working. So if you know anybody who's not with us now, you can watch it. And people have told me that when they're not here, like yesterday, I know Janet told me that she watched it on Facebook, which is really nice. So thank you. We are up to Psalm 37, which is 40 verses long, which is a little long for one session. So I'm going to divide it up into two and do the first 20 verses today and the second 20 verses tomorrow, chapter 37. Whoops, okay. I'm not gonna share yet because I like seeing your faces. So and then I decided I wanted to divide it up because it's 40 verses and then it's an acrostic. So I was like, oh, I hope I don't mess everyone up, but it's okay. Just know that it's an acrostic and it's 40 verses. I have a feeling tomorrow's might be a little more interesting than today because already I saw some of the verses in the second half are in Pirkei Avot, Ethics of Our Ancestors. And each section has a question. Well, each section ends with God's resolution of a question. So we shall see. The overarching idea, in my opinion, reading it was about trust, which we can see that honestly, that many of the Psalms are about trust. So some of the thoughts that the psalmist has, the book that I read has like kind of at the beginning, it gives some thoughts of what the psalmist may have been thinking and then what actually takes place in the psalm. So envy poisons the soul. We live in a competitive world. So what would happen if we weren't envious? You're really not supposed to be. It's one of the 10 commandments that you shouldn't covet, you shouldn't be envious. But it's human nature, and honestly, to be envious, to have a little competition. And competitions can exhaust the body. I know people who, like, if they're children, they have to have 100 or plus if there's extra credit on everything. But it's really exhausting. And it can lead to pent-up energy that's not used in a good way. Similar to anger. Anger can be very harmful too. But we often cannot resist expressing our anger. And sometimes it's more healthier to express the anger. But you must learn to be truly the bottom line, to be satisfied with what you have and just be good with what you have. Then the soul will be whole once you realize that what I have is good enough and your body can be revived. Your temper can be calmed. It's the benefits of trusting God. I think back to now 4 weeks ago when we had Pesach and we were all said to ourselves, I hope, whatever we do is good enough under these circumstances. Right now too, whatever is good enough. Think about Mother's Day. Mother's Day was very hard for many people, both if you didn't have a mother, if you don't have children, or if you're far away. So whatever it was, God willing, was good enough. So one of the things in here that choosing a vocation, going on to another thought, can be challenging. And one of the ideas in this is that a vocation for the Jewish people, for a specific person, can be a shepherd. Now, most of us don't have any sheep. I don't know about you, but I don't have any. I don't even have a dog anymore. But I shepherd my children. How so? I teach them. I shepherd a lot of people. Most of us do. That the idea of the shepherd in this psalm is the teacher. And we're all teachers in some way. Either if it was your definite profession, or if it just as an example. We're all dugmaot, we're all examples, and how we act is an example to other people. So how you choose your vocation. I can tell you that from probably 3 years old or so, when I took this white scarf, one day I'll show it to you, I know where it is, it's on the other side of this office. I used a white scarf when I was 3, and I pranced around and I told everyone that was my talit, and I took one of my father's kippot and I told everyone I would be a rabbi, or I was the rabbi. They weren't even 1975 they weren't having rabbis back then. But I knew that that would be my vocation. And it was amazing reading the commentary on chapter 37, that they said a vocation should be consistent with one's faith. Like, I feel like I live my vocation every day. Even if I'm on vacation, say on a cruise, and people don't know who I am, I still behave like a rabbi should. It's part of me all the time. And a vocation should enhance one's faith. I mean, I was trying to think of a good way. If you were a physician, might be a reach, and you didn't believe in donor transplants, and you were a doctor that does the donor transplants, it probably wouldn't be good because you're doing a job that you don't go along with. So for example, here's another one. So in this psalm, you will see that the term inherit the land comes 5 times. So if you're a teacher that has to teach Darwin's theory of evolution and you don't agree with it, it'd be very hard to be teaching it. So you have to go along, you have to have a faith, you have to have a profession that goes along with your faith. And the profession of teaching can help in so many ways. So think about what you can teach the next generation, because everyone has something they could teach another person. Next idea in the psalm is a response to the problem of evil. Why do wicked prosper and good suffer? We all know that. And perhaps we can also think about if that's the case, that the wicked and the good are at odds with each other, it could be a temporary situation. We have a prayer. They say that this psalm is a prayer to the persecuted who have taken refuge in the temple or in God. So think about if you maybe at this moment take refuge in the presence of God. Just this time together, the 30 to 45 minutes a day we spend together teaching, studying a psalm, it's refuge that we take in God, in the text, and each other. And it concludes with the plea to God that those who honor God will be blessed, to bless them with God's justice, to protect them from the snares of the wicked. So the theme of the psalm is basically trust and that they're evil that takes place. So I'm going to do something a little different today. Hopefully this works. I'm going to share my screen and hopefully I can read my chats as someone else because I feel like people have written to me during this time. And because I see her on the top there. What, Margie?
I'm reading them.
Yeah, it's interesting because sometimes they write just to me. But Janet, would you read verses 1 through 5 for us? Janet Kirshner? Thank you.
Okay, you did unmute me.
Yes.
Of David, do not be vexed by evil people. Do not be incensed by wrongdoers, for they soon wither like grass, like green herbs fade away. Trust in the Lord and do good. Abide in the land and remain loyal. Seek the favor of the Lord, and God will grant you the desires of your heart. Leave all to the Lord. Trust in God. God will do it.
Okay, thank you. So one of the things I didn't mention earlier is that they say that this psalm was written by King David, to David, Le David, but not when he was younger and older age. So he has an idea of what life has given him. He has perspective of life in this psalm because he wrote it when he was later in life. And the idea that we can often, and Margie, can you just check who's coming up yellow and mute them? Thank you. I mean, I love you all, but it's distracting. So it's often used at a funeral that life is like grass. We wither in the fields. It all goes away. So too between verses 1 and 2, wrongdoers may do something bad, but don't worry, they're going to go away. They're going to wither away like grass. They're going to get their just return. And in just these couple of verses that I had, thank you, that Janet read, we read about trusting God twice. It's very repetitious. If you ever wonder why clergy often repeat themselves, because the text that we learn, such as the Talmud and here the Psalms, it's very repetitious. But it's really emphasizing, you trust in God, you remain loyal, you seek God's Lord, seek the favor of God, you'll be granted your desires, and leave all to the Lord. Of course, we always come to this idea of you can't totally be passive though, and not do anything. You can't say I'm sick, but I'm not going to take care of myself, because I trust in God, God will take care of everything. We still have to be proactive. Janet, you want to keep reading 2 more verses?
Sure.
Thank you.
God will cause your righteousness to shine forth like the light, the justice of your case, like the brightness of the noon sun. Be patient and wait for the Lord. Do not be fret over the person who prospers in his or her dealings when he carries out his or her evil schemes.
Okay, thank you. So we often say that we will see the light at the end of the tunnel. So it comes here that we shine forth like the light. So often when we have bad things, it seems like darkness, but God will give us the light and we'll shine forth with it and we'll see justice and the brightness of the noon sun. So if you got my weekly words of Torah this week, I spoke about how we've been learning in the Psalms that the chesed that God does for us, the loving kindness that we get from God is a concept that I spoke about this week in the weekly words of Torah for Bahar B'Chukotai, that we shouldn't always just think of chesed as what we can do for somebody else, but also what God does for us. And what is one of those cheseds that I think about right now, and many of you in the central time zone, it's right now, it's noon, the brightness of the noon sun, just to take a time to look at the chesed of nature around us from God. And we should be patient. And I really wonder in this psalm, it talks a lot about the other person, how we worry about the wicked, what they do. And here in verse 7, be patient and wait for the Lord. Don't get upset about what the other person's doing and the evil doings that they'll get. You should desist from anger and forsake wrath. Do not fret it. It can only bring harm. For evil people will be cut loose, but those who look to the Lord, they shall inherit the land. So I think about how this psalm really talks a lot about you worrying about somebody else, how bad they are. They're going to get their just reward or their punishment, more so. You should resist your anger, but how about just working on ourselves? I think the opposite of what the psalm talks about, how we worry so much about other people. How about just thinking about ourselves and working ourselves to see perhaps why does their evil doing upset us? Why do we get angry with what they're doing? What is a trigger in ourselves? Maybe we should work within ourselves also to make ourselves a better person and not always worry about others. Still living in community, of course, not to become self-centered, but there's a balance between worrying so much about others and really controlling how much we can control ourselves, which is our own reaction. So thank you, Janet, for reading. I'm going to take over with verse 10. Yes, a little longer and there will be a wicked person. You will look at where she was, she will be gone. So it's kind of painful to hear that, but it's true that sometimes we might worry so much about the other person and what they're doing and how bad they are, but you know what? They're saying in the psalm, they'll be gone soon. But the lowly shall inherit the land and delight in abundant well-being. So the lowly, it's interesting, I didn't change the word. The Hebrew is va'anavim yirshu eretz. So anava is humble, the humility. So maybe instead of, I should have changed the lowly to the humble shall inherit the land. So if you're not boastful and you're not arrogant, but you're humble, that's when you get your just reward and that you'll inherit the land. So now we had a good thing and now we're going back to wickedness. It's like every other sentence is about wickedness. The wicked person schemes against the righteous and gnashes his teeth at her. What an image of someone like just grabbing you with their teeth. The Lord laughs at him, for God knows that his day will come. It's that God will laughs at the person, says, they're so bad, but don't worry, they're going to get their due. The wicked draw their swords, bend their bows to bring down the lowly and needy, to slaughter upright people. Their swords shall pierce their own hearts, and their bows shall be broken. So yes, the wicked might come after the good people and the upright, but don't worry, the sword's going to turn around and pierce right into the wicked people. They're going to hurt themselves. They're going to have their own weapons broken. Better the little that the righteous person has than the great abundance of the wicked. So again, I feel like it's talking about anava here again. Tov ma'at l'tzadik. So It's better the little, the humble person, what they have, than the great people. You know, you think about these people with mega mansions, but inside, do they have love? Or the little person with the little modest house who has so much abundant love. What's more important, their great abundance or the little bit that has a righteous home? For the arms of the wicked shall be broken, but the Lord is the support of the righteous. So again, first the wicked were piercing their own hearts. Their weapons were being broken, and now their arms will be broken too. But what happens for us, assuming we're all righteous, and I believe that the Lord will support the righteous. The Lord is concerned for the needs of the blameless. Their portion lasts forever. So the verse in 18 is in Hebrew, Yodea Adonai Yemei Timimim. So the simple, the tam, the nachalatam la'olam tihiyeh, and their portion will be forever. They're going to inherit. A lot in here about inheritance. They shall not come to grief in bad times and famine. They shall eat their fill. So don't worry, because if you're blameless, if you're simple, tamim, God will help us in our grief, and God will give us our fill, our food. But the wicked shall perish, and the enemies of the Lord shall be consumed like meadow grass consumed in smoke. So the portion that I stopped in, for verse 20, where it's a way to divide the first 20 verses with the second, ends in a sort of upbeat note for those of us who are righteous. The wicked will perish, the enemies will be consumed. Don't worry, that'll go away. Thank you. That'll go away, and all will be good. So I was wondering when I made it in my head that I wanted to end at verse 20, what was going to be the dividing line, if it was really going to be a good place to end. And I think it is that we come in this up note that after talking about all the different things that the wicked person does, in the end, they'll perish. And then tomorrow we'll read more about what the wicked person borrows and does not repay. So I'm going to look at the chat, and you are able to,
Yeah, there's quite a few comments.
yes.
Yes.
So Margie,